Greetings everyone, here's Lodrik and this is the game War on the Pacific Advanced Edition, the mod Bottleneck. This is my play-by-email match against Italien. He's a Japanese player and for me the allied side. This mod has some modifications similar to AR mod what I played before, but it's more or less in the direction it's trying to be even more accurate to historical limitations, events and start setup at least. You can see some of my APs getting detected Hawaii or Wake Island here. So far all attacks failed. One AP Wake trying to run away with a Peace Force. Getting here now attacked. The biggest change in Bottleneck is, at least it's his first turn, that this is the afternoon. The attack on Malaya, Hawaii and the Philippines already done. There is no battle for this. And he has a very successful torpedo attack against Enterprise, trying to reach Pearl Harbor in the afternoon. And luckily for this submarine is score 2 with critical hits on the carrier. So heavy flooding damage, I would say. The game rules or the scenario setup is that again, in the morning there was already a Japanese attack. Means the allied player is starting with already damaged and destroyed equipment at the first turn. It's already off the map. And in the afternoon, both sides, Japanese and Allies, can move stuff around but cannot use any active air missions. You can still make land attack and move land units around everywhere, everyone, not only in China. You can move your navy stuff around you want, but normally making no active air missions. You can make navy search and cap, but normally nothing else. Because it's the afternoon, so there's no surprise move for the Allies. But there's not enough time for the Allies and for the Japanese to do anything in the afternoon, because the Japanese throw everything in the morning in a surprise attack on the Allied. Good. So that is the big change on Bottleneck. One of the big changes. The other big change is there is no magic super fast transports for the Japanese players, so again the scenario is more strict to historical setup. You can also see that the Italian makes some mistakes in this first turn and he used still aircraft to make active missions. The airstrike in China. China is China. In China everyone can do everything because in China the war is ongoing already 2 years. But this airstrike Singapore normally not allowed. Also this airstrike on Hong Kong is not allowed because Hong Kong is British and not part of China. But it was a long first turn also for the Allies, because what is normally in scenario 1, the second turn is setting everything up is for the Allied player also turn 1. So the Japanese player and the Allied player have turn 1 always super long one. This is some airfield strike. I also promised Terry not to play too aggressive. Maybe let him beat me up a little more. So I would also say that even if he's now doing stuff what is not okay by game rules or house rules or scenario setup, I would say it doesn't matter so much. This 7th December turn is not so much action like in every other scenario 1 or AR mod stuff, because again the assault in the morning, the surprise is off map. But the impact I can see part in the setup turn, 7th December, but I make no video about this because I bet I can explain it here now directly after the first real action. That is the biggest impact maybe, together with the AP at Wake, and of course Enterprise at Pearl Harbor is, I lose here one of my predictions. And Enterprise was attacked by a submarine, that is fine. This airstrike. And here is a PG, don't know which nation this is. This thing is at Shanghai. It's impossible to really save this ship. And this is a Green Dreadnought. Now the game called it a heavy cruiser. Yeah, so no way to save this ship. And I not even here. That was my AP, now a third torpedo hit. Ship is normally lost already. At the end, there is not much that normally the Japanese player can do in this setup. The most successful was this attack on my carrier. That is a big boost because the carrier will be now out of action, I would say, for weeks at least. But I can check it soon and then I see what is really the situation on Enterprise now. Good. Now I will see hundreds of units moving around. This I did already at the start setup. So normally the Japanese, the Allied player must do this all in the second turn. Good. See you soon. Good. So first, now we arrived at December 8th. The first turn is over. There was no Allied additional air losses after the morning. There's also no destroyed air group because it's simply scenario. We're starting from the afternoon, so there's not much destroyed now. But I lost some ships, Oklahoma and Arizona. That was more or less by scenario. The game is both ships are damaged by 99% system, fire, flooding, everything I think is 99%. So it's impossible to save the ships. You can only simply scuttle them, save the captain, could be useful, and save the air wing. 2 aircraft, Navy search aircraft for each battleship. So these 2 ships was impossible to really save, and these are the ships more or less, at least the destroyer and the other stuff, what was destroyed by not okay airstrikes missions, but yeah, it doesn't matter. Good. That is the damage, but the most important damage is, or let's say first this you can see that Pearl Harbor is damaged. You can also see that a lot of ships are damaged in poor. I better make it like type. So you can see I had no originally 8 battleships. 2 already are destroyed. 2 more are close to sinking, but they are now under control. 1 battleship is just so. I mean, and 3 battleships are, more or less fine. In maybe 1 or 2 months, I can sail again. Not some other stuff is damage, and you can compare this now with scenario 1, and I don't know if it's really more destroyed, but the 2 battleships I think is the biggest impact. Plus 2 more battleships are out of action for months. So far for this. The biggest other impact is the air situation. I have 244 aircraft here at Pearl Harbor, but 116 are only ready and 128 are damaged. And on top of this, mostly destroyed are my Navy search. You can see that my Catalina air wings are all completely destroyed. Only one Catalina air wing is more or less ready, and the others are all inactive. So that is what the game is calculating, that this Catalinas was on the ground, an easy target, big burning easily, and all of this kind of stuff. Good. What was really now a impact on the game was, this is all scenario and it will always be the same, but what is now by Italian is successful attack with submarine against Japanese. 2 torpedo hits, a lot of flooding, carrier cannot operate more, you can see the red number. So my aircraft cannot take off of this carrier, I cannot fly to Pearl Harbor, I must dock the ship, and I'm not even in Pearl Harbor, so I must first move next turn and then I can first unload my aircraft. Yeah, I was hoping to reach Pearl Harbor and simply stand down here and then be safe and then wait. Good, but I cannot change it. Here at the wake, I was trying to escape with the base force, because the base force is part of a greater unit, and I was trying to run away before the invasion of Wake is coming, because invasion of Wake is normally 90% sure thing, and then everything will be destroyed anyway. So I have no escort, I have only AP. This AP is now lost because fire and damage is high flooding, so I can scuttle it. And you can see that I am now at army lost points of 12. If I scuttle the ship, I have now army lost points of 34. So 22 army lost points are going down with the AP together. But again, if I don't run with the troops, they will be destroyed in 2, 3, 4, 5 days anyway. Good. Nothing here in Australia to discuss, nothing in America to discuss, is more or less similar. What is new in this scenario is the Allied player has the duty to save all this non-combat personnel, civilian engineers or whatever, white guys. There are white guys all over this Allied bases, and they're burning only supplies. They don't help you with anything, they're only burning supplies. So if you don't save them, they're burning your supplies in your forward bases, and if the Japanese catch them and kill them, you're losing points. Points are only points, supplies are maybe more important. And it's simply part of the scenario that the Allied player must try his best to save them. Good. More I cannot say. Nothing else really special happened. This is the start, this is a historical start. There's end landing here in the north and then walking down with that's it. Japanese do this and not making very close landing to Manila. The map also changed a little. The road map looks not the same, maybe more historical. Also some land modification change. You can see that Manila is now heavy urban. That have a big impact. Again, I would say Manila is not heavy urban, but well, it's a scenario setup. Here, similar, no rush for Mersing. The Japanese must go the slow way from the north, I mean, at least at turn 1. China is also a big change because now you have this the mod try to limit the flow of supplies for the Japanese player. So you can see that the Japanese really only controlling 1 hex from the ports to their frontline units. And if the allied player could cut them, that will be fast a disaster for the Japanese. So the Japanese player must invest much more time to protect his supply lines, or he must waste much more time to try to get rid of this allied presence. Both will cost the Japanese player time. Time the Chinese player can use to do something. Let's say this. Good, and last big topic, because this is special, is I try to run away with my 3 allied British troops. These units are more or less can run away. And I try to reach this French port. Some ships are on the way. Unluckily, this one torpedo destroyer also was carrying troops, and they are now dead. Yeah. So I cannot save all of my what was possible to save from Hong Kong, but Hong Kong is similar to Wake, a lost case. It's really only a question 4 turns, 5 turns, 6 turns. After 10 turns latest, it's destroyed. You can argue that, say, if I keep it in Hong Kong, I can maybe keep Hong Kong 10 turns. If I run away, I can keep Hong Kong only 5 turns. But for me, more important is that I at least try to save the most, as much as possible of my unit. Then I can try to run away, rebuild the unit, and then I have a combat-ready unit here in China. And the British equipment is always better than the Chinese equipment. Good. Yeah. Let's say this. I think India is no big change. Here in Burma is some change. There is some change to the rail system. You can see there's some additional rail, but the Japanese player must build up all the bases before he can use the rail. Here's also a new rail. It's going now from Saigon directly to Shanghai, but you must also get this under control. It's more for the Japanese player. Once the Japanese player took all of these bases, he must build up the bases and then he can use the new rail. Good. I would say this is enough. There's also a lot of change to the Japanese player with R&D and industry stuff, but this is only for the Japanese player. And this have no impact on my side. Good. Then, see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.